You open your home insurance renewal knowing the price may have gone up, but you're not prepared for the number staring back at you. $7,140 a year. That's $595 a month. You didn't add a pool, you didn't file a giant claim, your house didn't move. So how did insurance become a second housing payment? Across America, premiums and non-renewals are rising, but this isn't one uniform national crisis. After inflation, the Government Accountability Office found that the nationwide average premium rose about 3% from 2019 through 2024, yet parts of the southern coastline saw increases of 25% or more. Homes facing high wind risk paid roughly 58% more than otherwise similar homes with medium wind risk. That gap is the clue. Your premium no longer reflects only your house or your claims history. It can absorb rebuilding costs, disaster losses, reinsurance prices, regional risk, and regulations that sometimes delay increases until insurers restrict coverage and set. So why is this spreading, and what, if anything, can you control? The first thing to understand is that insurance does not price yesterday. It tries to price tomorrow. You pay a premium today, so the insurer accepts the risk that your home might need a new roof next summer, major repairs after a fire, or a complete rebuild after a catastrophe. To price that promise, the company has to estimate how often policyholders may file claims, how severe those losses could be, and how much labor and material will cost when the bills arrive. That means your own claim-free history is only one piece of the calculation. You can take perfect care of your home and still receive a painful increase because the expected cost of protecting thousands of homes around you has changed. This is the first big answer. An insurer is not maintaining a private savings account with your name on it. Your premium goes into a shared risk pool. When the expected losses facing that pool rise, you can pay more even if you never filed a claim. By the way, I'm Mike, a husband and father of two, just trying to make smarter money decisions and help you do the same. If this video was helpful, subscribe for more practical videos about personal and family finance. And send this one to someone who might find it useful too. But expected losses are only the beginning. The next question is why the price of one claim has become so much larger. Imagine that a storm damages your house twice, once several years ago and once today. You see the same missing shingles and the same water stain on the ceiling, but you probably do not receive the same repair bill. Home insurance is generally tied to what it would cost to repair or rebuild the structure, not the price the property might command in a sale. Land value does not install drywall. A hot real estate market does not determine what a roofing crew charges. The rebuilding estimate has to account for construction labor, lumber, shingles, wiring, appliances, permits, debris removal, and somewhere for you to live while your home is unusable. As those costs rise, the amount of insurance required to rebuild your home may rise with them. That can increase your premium even if the market value of your property falls. The Government Accountability Office reviewed actual insurer rate filings and found one example where the base rate rose, while the amount of insurance factor increased another 7.2% because of replacement cost increases and inflation. That is a useful window into the bill. Part of the increase can come from the probability of damage. Another part can come from the larger check required after damage occurs. And if your home is damaged during a catastrophe, rebuilding can be even more expensive than it would be on an ordinary Tuesday. You are suddenly competing with thousands of neighbors for contractors, hotel rooms, materials, and equipment. Insurers have to prepare not just for an average repair, but for many expensive repairs arriving together. Now add the disasters themselves. When you hear natural disaster, you may picture one hurricane in Florida or one wildfire in California, but the pressure reaching your premium is broader. Hurricanes and wildfires matter, but so do the hail, severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, winter storms, and repeated smaller events that can damage your neighborhood without ever becoming a defining national headline. The Congressional Research Service noted that so-called secondary perils, events such as thunderstorms that are individually smaller but more frequent, produced greater combined insured losses in 2022 and 2023 than the giant events you probably picture. Insurers do not need one record-breaking hurricane to have a costly year. Thousands of roofs can be damaged across many different states. At the same time, more homes and more valuable property have been built in places exposed to wind, fire, and other hazards. Even before asking how a changing climate influenced one particular event, a region's financial exposure can grow because there is simply more to lose. Climate change adds another layer by increasing certain physical risks and the uncertainty surrounding future losses. But climate change made my bill go up is not a complete explanation. The final price can also reflect where development has expanded into vulnerable areas, local building codes, repair costs, litigation, fraud, state regulation, and which hazards a policy actually covers. That nuance matters because the national average can be technically correct while feeling completely disconnected from your renewal notice. Treasury's Federal Insurance Office examined more than 246 million policy records covering 2018 through 2022. It found that average premiums rose 8.7% faster than inflation during that period. In the 20% of zip codes with the highest expected climate-related building losses, the average inflation-adjusted premium was $2,321. That was 82% more than the average paid in the lowest risk 20% of zip codes. Non-renewal rates in those highest risk zip codes were also about 80% higher. Those are averages, not a quote for your particular home, but they reveal the pattern. Where expected losses are high, homeowners are more likely to face the largest burden. And the problem may appear not only as a higher price, but as an insurer deciding not to offer a policy at all. Then there is a cost most homeowners never see directly: reinsurance. Reinsurance is insurance purchased by insurance companies. An insurer may be able to handle a normal flow of kitchen fires, theft claims, and damaged roofs. But when one catastrophe damages thousands of homes at the same moment, the resulting stack of claims can overwhelm its capital. Reinsurance helps the insurer survive that event and keep paying claims. Insurers have to pay for that protection. When reinsurers believe catastrophic losses are becoming larger or less predictable, they can charge more, reduce the protection they offer, or require insurers to keep more of the risk. Where state rules allow those costs in rate calculations, part of that reinsurance bill can eventually reach your premium. The Government Accountability Office found that, for insurers with large concentrations of policies along the South Carolina coast, the net cost of reinsurance can represent roughly 20 to 30% of the premium charged. That does not mean reinsurance explains 30% of every American homeowner's bill. An inland insurer or a policy excluding wind may face a very different cost, but in a catastrophe-exposed market, reinsurance can be a major reason a faraway financial market shows up in your monthly housing payment. In the hardest markets, this creates a difficult cycle. Larger expected losses make coverage more expensive. More expensive protection pushes insurers to raise premiums. If they cannot charge enough to cover the risk, they may stop writing new policies, refuse certain homes, or leave part of the market. You're left with fewer choices in a place that was already expensive to insure. State regulators are supposed to prevent rates from becoming excessive, inadequate, or unfairly discriminatory. But regulation cannot make the physical risk around your home or the cost of repairing it disappear. If a state approves a large increase, you feel the pain immediately. If it holds rates below the amount insurers believe they must collect, coverage may become harder to find. The Congressional Budget Office summarized the trade-off plainly. As risk and costs rise, premiums tend to rise. If regulators do not allow sufficient increases, insurers may exit high-risk areas instead. The timing can create another shock. The Government Accountability Office found that between 2020 and 2024, the median approval time for requested rate changes reached 331 days in Colorado and 305 days in California, the longest among the states it analyzed. Long reviews may delay a price increase, but they can also leave insurers responding by restricting new business while they wait. So the choice is not always high premium or low premium. If you live in one of the hardest markets, it can become expensive coverage or no suitable private coverage. When you can't obtain private coverage, you may have to turn to a state-created insurer of last resort. That plan can keep your home insurable, but it may provide more limited or expensive coverage. When many high-risk properties enter the same public backstop, the plan develops its own financial pressure. If you have a mortgage, dropping insurance usually is not a realistic escape. Your lender generally requires coverage because your house secures the loan. If your policy lapses, your lender may purchase force-place insurance and charge you for it. You can end up paying an expensive premium for coverage designed primarily to protect the lender's interest, not the protection you would have selected for yourself. Even when your insurer renews you, the increase can feel hidden if your premium is paid through escrow. Your mortgage rate didn't change, your principal and interest payment didn't change, but the servicer recalculates the amount needed for insurance, and suddenly the total monthly payment jumps. Return to that $7,140 example. At $595 a month, insurance is no longer a small line beneath the mortgage. If the prior policy cost $300 a month, the increase alone is $295. That is $3,540 a year, or $17,700 across 5 years if the price never rises again. That is not a forecast. It is simple arithmetic, and reality could be better or worse. But it shows why this issue reaches beyond insurance. The extra payment competes with retirement contributions, emergency savings, home maintenance, debt payoff, and every other job your income already has. It can also change which home you can afford. You can qualify for a mortgage using an estimated insurance cost, then discover that the real quote is hundreds of dollars higher. If you already own the home, you may struggle to sell when a potential buyer cannot find affordable coverage. And when your property becomes unusually expensive to insure, future buyers may eventually value it differently. So what can you actually do? Start by separating the parts of the bill you can influence from the forces you cannot. You cannot move your coastline, control the weather, or negotiate the global price of reinsurance. But you can make sure you are comparing the same protection across companies. A quote offered to you can look cheaper because it has a higher deductible, a lower dwelling limit, actual cash value coverage instead of replacement cost coverage, or exclusions that transfer more risk back to you. Ask each insurer or independent agent to quote the same dwelling coverage, liability limit, endorsements, and deductibles. Compare wind or hail deductibles carefully. A 2% catastrophe deductible does not mean 2% of the repair bill. It commonly means 2% of the insured dwelling amount. On a $400,000 dwelling limit, that would be $8,000 out of pocket before coverage begins. Next, review the replacement cost estimate. Your dwelling limit should reflect what it would cost to rebuild the structure, not the home's market price and not the remaining mortgage balance. An estimate that is too high can make you pay for unnecessary coverage. An estimate that is too low can leave you dangerously underinsured and may reduce what the policy pays after a loss. Ask what assumptions the estimate uses for square footage, construction type, finishes, local labor, and building code upgrades. Then ask about every mitigation credit available in your state. The useful improvements depend on the hazard. They may include a stronger roof, roof-to-wall connections, storm shutters, impact-resistant openings, defensible space, fire-resistant vents, updated wiring, leak detection devices, or a monitored alarm. Do not assume an expensive project will pay itself through premiums. Get the discount requirements in writing before spending the money. A higher deductible can reduce your premium, but it does not give you free savings. You're agreeing to self-insure a larger portion of your next loss. Raise it only if you could comfortably pay that amount from your savings after an emergency. The worst deductible for you is one that makes today's premium affordable but makes tomorrow's legitimate claim financially impossible. You can also ask whether bundling policies, improving an insurance-based credit score where permitted, correcting errors in your property record, or documenting a newer roof changes the quote. pricing models differ among insurers, so shopping can still matter. But in a severely constrained market, there may be no magical quote that restores the price you remember from 5 years ago. Finally, read the renewal package itself. A lower premium is not a victory if wind coverage disappeared, the roof shifted to actual cash value, the deductible doubled, or the dwelling limit no longer keeps pace with rebuilding costs. The most expensive policy mistake is focusing only on the number at the top and discovering the missing protection after the loss. This brings us back to the question behind that $595 monthly bill. Your insurance is getting more expensive because several costs are being repriced at once. The chance of damage, the cost of rebuilding, the concentration of property in hazardous places, the price of reinsurance, and the rules governing how quickly insurers can respond. Those forces operate nationally, but they reach you locally. That is why you may see an irritating increase in one zip code and a payment that threatens the affordability of your home in another. You will not find one villain or one universal trick that makes this problem disappear. Insurers need enough money to pay claims. Regulators need to protect consumers from unjustified rates. Lenders need the homes securing their loans to remain protected. And you need coverage you can afford. Every side is trying to divide a risk that keeps becoming more expensive. Your best defense is not pretending the risk is smaller than it is. It is understanding exactly what your policy covers, comparing equal protection, investing selectively in improvements that reduce real damage, and treating insurance as a major housing cost before you buy, not an afterthought once you own. A home is only affordable if you can afford to keep protecting it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.